Mick McManus versus Mick McMichael on the 29th of September 1974 from Gravesend in Kent. Two Mick McMacks, says Kent Walton, as we go into it. No idea why that was such a popular name. I actually thought to myself, I'm quite surprised that Mick McManus, who was a Londoner, chose an Irish name, because you think about, how Irish people
what it was like
being treated in there, all the way through to the sort of basically the mid-90s in this country. It seems like a surprising choice. But Mick McMichael, that was his real name, a guy from Doncaster. The obituary, they mentioned he was one of the top 5 wrestlers in terms of the number of times they appeared on television while wrestling was on ITV. And he was said also to be a household name. I have a feeling that's because people thought he was Mick McManus. He left school. He played rugby for the county of Yorkshire when he was 15. I had a look at one of my old books, The Who's Who of Wrestling, and it mentioned in it, he only got like 6 lines. That's how much you get. Yeah. And you have to be quite careful about what you decide to say, because you've only got 6 lines. There's a lot about how he likes angling. And this line here: until he was 10 years old, he was unable to participate in any sports due to weight problems, which landed him in hospital to cut down by 2.5 stone.
In hospital?
In hospital.
More terrible overweight people problems in the UK.
Yeah, completely bizarre. He started as an electrician's apprentice in Markham Main Colliery in Armthorpe. Oh, I know.
I mean, it's just lights, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lights, the machinery runs on petrol.
Those lights are a long way underground, aren't they? Oh, the light's gone out in tunnel number 15B.
5, yeah.
Right at the end. Oh, great, I'll just go down in the dark.
Brilliant.
I'm literally underground. It's literally a living nightmare.
Can't light a match.
He watched wrestling at Doncaster Corn Exchange, and it was there that he decided that's what he wanted to do with his life. Anything that happens on the surface of the earth, you would have seen and gone, that's what I want to do with the rest of my life.
I'm not even the main electrician. I'm just learning to have his terrible life.
But again, I look at this and I think, if Mick McMichael had been born 15, 20 years earlier, that option would not have been open to him. You would just be, you are now down the pit forever. You're a working class lad. What else are you going to do? You would see wrestling and go, I will grab onto this with both of my great big dirty coal-stained hands, and I will never let go. The match itself, I mean, McManus is the smallest man in the ring, and it starts with 3 people working as seconds and the referee in there. And McManus must be a head shorter than everybody else in there. 54 years old here. And he goes up against McMichael. He looks like a sort of classic heavy. He's got his leather jacket on, and he's got that body that you only get from manual labour. Sort of not a gym body, but a body that you get from repeatedly putting up and taking down a circus tent. Just astonishing sort of outdoor tan as well. Looks like a tough old poacher. McManus's hair in this as well, not yet totally jet black. No, he's had it done in that awful haircut that sort of modern fans of Paul Weller have, that slightly feathered look. The big question in wrestling, as they used to say, it was not is wrestling fixed, but is Mick McManus's hair fixed? Which is good.
I'm just looking at it again. He had proper 70s sideburn. He looks like my dad, basically. Very, my dad had this hair when he was in the Navy.
If he had a moustache, he'd look like sort of Tosh Lines.
Yes.
He's just got a dated British man look all about it. And you might look at this like a still especially, and you would look at this and go, oh, this is the problem with British wrestling, isn't it? There is no frill, no colour, no pizzazz. This is just 2 identical looking men.
Black shorts, blue shorts, come on.
Kent Walton doesn't seem to realise that we're broadcasting in colour yet, does he? Because he spends a lot of time just going, well, McManus there in the black and white, they should show up darker. McMichael, black boots against white socks, so should show up. There, really odd. And again, I suppose it's not actually been that long since Kent Walton was broadcasting in black and white.
Yeah, well, maybe it was recorded in colour for a later World of Sport thing.
Kent Walton wasn't live in black and white. Got funny eyes.
One more fall, that's all McMichael needs, and that's it, 2-0. He's got a couple of he's trying to say his hand is out of the ring, he's underneath the bottom rope, but not even reaching the apron. Well, that of course is our cover of our monitor in case either of them land on this monitor here. That saves any damage either to them or the monitor, we hope.
But I mean, look, within a couple of minutes of this starting, you see, this is what British wrestling is all about. You have, within the first round, you've established what each man's character is. They've got you behind one or the other of them, and they are going to then hold your attention until they choose to let it go. It's just, I mean, it's a good, fun match, but it doesn't set your world on fire. And I think that's the problem with McManus, is he is just from a previous generation that I think for people like us who are used to seeing men going headfirst through tables, his style of wrestling does seem like the oldest style of wrestling you can watch.
I think it's probably just like no wrestler at this point did leg day. Like it was just it was just not a thing. If you had muscular legs, it was just because you're carrying a bit of timber up top, I suppose. Like and your legs would naturally get muscular. But like these guys, you got McManus, and he's got such skinny little legs, and he's fighting someone who, you know, to be honest, like I guess Mick McMichael, 20 years later, he would be approaching Jerry the King Lawler kind of vibes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Lawler had this kind of like physique. His hair was quite similar.
Yeah.
Quite kind of vibes. And, you know, he wasn't a great wrestler in many ways. But it's just a lot of like, I'm on the floor for a bit and silly arm stuff. They're sort of wobbling around and stuff. And the referee, who looks like a wonderful barman.
Yeah, Joe DeRazio.
Joe DeRazio.
McManus's main moves, when you watch, and we watched a couple of matches, his main moves do seem to be grabbing someone round the belly and then getting thrown off, or doing a little punch to the stomach.
Punch to the stomach or punch to the back, which you did. I texted you late last night. I was like, Mark, they don't do punches to the back very often in wrestling these days. Just punch, like a little rabbit punch in the square of the back.
The referee's not looking.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Absolutely. Sometimes he does a little kick as well.
Yes, but legs.
I did watch this and I did thought, I mean, McManus is really canny here, because he doesn't take many bumps.
No.
He doesn't do anything particularly, you know, wild. He is just going to try and grab an arm. He's going to try and grab a head. He's going to try and, you know, push you onto the floor. They're not pushing as well.
I love like crumbling. Yeah. It's not even a push. Like that suggests a start, middle, and end.
Yeah,
it's just a sort of forcing.
Yeah.
Like,
there's quite a lot of grabbing and getting on the floor and then just sort of holding. There's a lot of that, and I did look at that and I did sort of think, you know, that must have been quite an enjoyable thing to have, which is that you would have a match with McManus, it would get over massive, and afterwards you'd come back and just go, I had to fall over twice.
Yeah,
that really, he didn't punch me in the nose, he didn't punch me in the head, you know, he just occasionally punched me right on the belly, and I'd go, ooh, and the crowd would go, this is electric.
And he is. And of course, Mick McMichael shouldn't be following it through with his man down. But DeRazio will have to get in there and break it somehow. Or will he? Holding press, and he could be leading. He's let it go. And McManus is going to complain about this when he gives up.
What is key to McManus is when you work with McManus, you know you're guaranteed a huge, massive ovation just by grabbing him by the ears. That's all it takes.
Yeah, if the match is going flat, grab him by the ears.
Yeah, and
if you want the match to end, like, did you grab him by the ears?
Doesn't hurt. No, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. You just grab McManus's ears, and the crowd will just go, "This is unbelievable." This is British wrestling's equivalent of when Jimmy Snooker jumped off the top of the cage onto Don Morocco. You go, he's only gone and got McManus's ears, and he's holding them, and he is holding them. I looked at that and I just thought, that is slightly, when you see the old wrestlers go, kids today, they don't know how to get fucking over. I'd watched that and I thought, kids today, they don't know how to get over.
They didn't get fucking over, did they?
McManus, 40 years, just going, grab me on the ear, yeah? And you go, why am I going to do that? And you go, just wait and see. Doing it, bang, oh my God.
Live to 93.
Oh,
brilliant.
Yes, just...
Look like shit for 70 of them.
Yeah.
And not too good a landing on the bottom rope there in the apron to Mick McMichael. Already sees that left knee is worrying McMichael, so of course goes for it all the time now.
The crowd are really unhappy where McMichael is submitted to a single leg Boston Crab by McManus. In the UK, submission, when you get a submission on people, it's over.
Yeah.
You just go, that's devastating.
Right.
And that's a good little thing as well, because, I mean, a lot of the time you do see people in submission moves and they go,
yeah, and it takes 5 minutes to get.
But they just go, here, if you got it on, it's over. Yeah. That is over. And what they do really well here is, after it's on, Mick McMichael really sells the whole idea of how bad it is, where he's limping, and within 40 seconds, McManus has got it back on, and it's over.
Yeah.
And I really sort of thought, a good thing to teach your audience, that the second this terrible move goes on, then it is over. He's not going to get out, and it hurts too much. Someone from the crowd, as Mick McMichael goes out, he goes, "Never mind, Mick, you did well, boy." Never mind, Mick, you did well, boy. Good fun. Good fun. I mean, I just don't think, and I do feel for Mick McManus here, I just don't think that anyone would watch it and just go, he's my favourite wrestler of all time.
Yeah, and also I think when I've seen bits and bobs before, there's one with Catweasel that's quite funny. It's just two people who just don't want to wrestle, do some wrestling. And it's quite funny that you do sort of think that, well, if I've seen one, I've seen every last one of them, really.
The match with Catweasel is interesting as well, because McManus chose Catweasel to be his final television opponent.
That's right, yeah.
It seemed like a strange decision until you remember he's also the booker. And he knew how big Catweasel was and just how popular. And I think he thought it would be a great combination of the man you love to hate versus whatever Catweasel is.
Whatever Catweasel
is.